Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Here we go. Good morning, Chiriqui. Good morning, Boquete. Welcome to Speaking with Your Doctor. This is Dr. Shannon Tour on Radio Chiriqui 103.3. Today is Halloween, October 31st. Happy Halloween to all that celebrate it. I'm here with my guest, Andrea Cook. She runs a travel agency here. I'm sorry, I just forgot the name of your travel agency, Vacations. So we were planning on talking about today a little bit about traveling during the time of COVID. What regulations, restrictions are implemented to keep people safe. What we can still go around and see around Boquete, around David, around Chiriqui, around Panama, as far as touring, as far as hikes, recreational things, what's available for those that are coming to visit or coming to actually live here now that the borders have opened. We're sitting here outside the radio station here in Boquete. It looks a little bit overcast today. The sun keeps peeking out. Probably get some real rain today. So Andrea, tell me, how long have you been in Panama?
I have been here over 9 years now.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Have you always lived in this area in Boquete? Or?
Yes, I have. I moved here in Boquete. My folks are here.
Okay, so what made you guys decide to come to Panama?
Well, my folks had been living on a boat and cruising all up and down the South America, the Caribbean, and everything for about over 10 years. And
Nice.
they settled, when they got older and didn't want the upkeep of a boat, they settled here in Boquete.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always coming and visiting, and the time was right, and packed my bags. And after 2 really harsh winters in the U.S., I was like, that's it. I am not shoveling one more driveway. I am done. So
I completely understand that. And here, I mean, I think we have the best of both worlds because we can go down to David, we can go to the beach areas, we can get the heat, the sun, or travel around the mountain areas, get nice, cool weather, beautiful weather, walk around beautiful rivers and forests and see the wildlife, lots of birds to see, lots of different creatures to see when you're out walking and exploring.
And you're still close enough to make a day trip to the beach if you want to.
Exactly. You could do everything in one day, really. You can go down to the beach in the morning, spend a couple hours there, travel back up, visit a river.
Yeah.
And then come back up into the mountains and enjoy a nice, cool evening. And it's just a wonderful place to live.
Yeah. How many people do you know that doesn't have heat or air conditioning, nor do we need it?
Don't need it.
So it's
Don't
a
need
wonderful
it.
place to be.
Need an umbrella sometimes.
Slightly.
Yeah, it's a big rain boot.
I'm ready. It's always this time of year. I'm like, I'm just so ready for the dry season. I'm not a huge fan of the dry season, but
the windy season.
It is the windy season.
The windy
There's
season.
a lot of dust and everything.
There is.
But I do. December though is always so beautiful.
It's nice.
Here.
It's nice.
It really is.
It's a great, I mean, especially if you're looking to get away from the winter weather in the northern part of the U.S. or Canada. It's a beautiful place to come because it stays nice and cool in the evening. It probably doesn't get up past, 85 during the daytime here, depending on the area of Boquete?
Yeah, I think it all depends on where you live and where you're going.
But the breeze keeps it nice and cool anyways.
It does.
So you don't really notice it.
And if you're from the south, if people tell you it's humid here, this place has nothing on the south. You're going to put that moisturizer on your skin when you get here.
Moisturize and hydrate. The most important thing, you don't feel thirsty here.
I know, but I moisturize here and I never did in the south. So it was always way more humid there than here.
You don't feel it, especially up here in the mountains. I mean, I look on my weather app, it says 99.9% humidity, but that's usually when the rains are about to come. But you don't feel it humid.
You really don't.
There's some days that are worse than others that you can feel a little bit the humidity, especially if you go down into David.
Right.
But really, it's probably the best of the area up here, in my opinion.
Exactly.
The weather, the people, the area.
It is. It's a fabulous place to live.
And you're
So
not far away
I
from
feel
civilization.
very fortunate to be here.
So tell me, when did we actually open up the borders to travel?
When did for Panama, they opened them up on October 12th.
I believe you're correct. October 12th, October 13th, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Mid-October.
Yeah, it was mid-October.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so far we'll just keep our fingers crossed that they stay open and everything is good.
So I imagine you had a whole lot of vacations and a whole lot of travel set up for right around the time the pandemic hit, because a lot of people like to come around this time of year to Panama. So I'm sure you had a lot of people either rescheduling or canceling or all kinds of just chaos.
Yeah, for everybody who thought I was sitting around eating bonbons, you know, even though I'd like to, but yeah, I was busy with all of those things, and it was such a frustrating time. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more into the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Get back into the groove. How did this kind of affect you and your business? Did it just like totally wipe you out? Are you doing okay?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a wiper outer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, when all borders are closed and U.S. citizens aren't allowed, and your flights are canceled, and your cruises are canceled, and your tour packages are canceled, it's a business breaker.
It is.
And I know there's been a lot of travel agencies that have just decided to close their doors, and that's that.
I know one that was working in Panama City. She just said, you know, I just can't hang in here anymore. I can't afford to stay if I can't have my business. You know, I lived off of my business, and I just can't stay. And hopefully, I hope she gets back here to Panama, because she's excellent. She actually grew up in the Canal Zone, so she knows that area, and she knows this area up here very well, very active.
Right.
And you know, I felt so bad when she said, you know, I have to go. I have to take a flight out.
Everybody, the tour guides,
the tour guides,
the hotels,
the bus
restaurants,
the bus drivers,
cruises,
the
everybody
shuttles
has
and
been
stuff.
affected.
Yeah.
So I could sit here and go, oh, woe is me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I did. I did a lot. But everybody was in the same boat.
Everybody
was in the same boat. So how can I sit there and say, oh, poor pitiful me, when there are people who have it much worse than I do? So
there's so many people that live off of tourism, especially in our area.
Right. I've just had to pull up my big girl britches.
Well, now we are starting to open things up, as you know, obviously. And I'm sure you're getting a lot more calls again, emails and that kind of thing, trying to set up.
Yeah, it's been very, very busy lately, and it's just hard to keep up with the constant changes. So, I mean, I think just 2 days ago, Portugal has closed their borders, and U.S. citizens weren't allowed in Europe anyway, but just keeping up with the whole changing climate on a day-to-day basis, it's nearly impossible.
And what do you tell your clients, for example, if they come to you and they say, is it safe for me to travel, for example, to Panama?
You know, I can't answer that for them. I really can't. You know, everybody has a different comfort level when it comes to, you know, the safety guidelines and wearing masks and you know, dealing with maybe a curfew or
travel
or
limitations
like
within the country.
Exactly, or they don't want to get a COVID test. They don't want anything up their nose. Those are things they have to come to an agreement with if they're going to be traveling. And you have to know what you've got to do, and you just have to, if you want to travel, you can do it, and you can come to Panama. But you know, you just have to realize that there are rules and regulations out there, and that's that.
Yeah, maybe get a little bit closer to the mic, or bring the mic a little bit closer to you.
No
I just
problem.
got a comment that your audio is really low, that people aren't hearing. Bolívar dice que el audio de la señora Andrea no se escucha bien en el radio. ¿Está normal? Okay. whoever was writing to me, if you can hear Andrea better, let me know, please.
Okay, testing.
She's
All right,
a little bit closer.
I'm putting it forth now.
Okay, so my next question is are all of the airlines requiring, the ones that at least coming to Panama, I don't know if you know about all of the airlines, but the few that are still flying back and forth between the U.S. and Panama, are they requiring the use of masks on board?
Yes.
All of them?
I think every
Okay.
single one of them are requiring masks on board. Absolutely.
And we all know that they're sterilizing, they're fumigating the airplanes with each trip, they're sterilizing. And also the actual airplanes have special HEPA filters.
Right.
And they circulate the air through the airplanes. I don't remember how many times per hour, but it's a pretty high rate.
It is. They're doing a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
And after every flight, I think for the most part, they're all doing this electrostatic cleaning throughout the cabin before you board.
Yeah.
So,
and my hat's off to the pilots and to the other staff on the airlines that are flying multiple flights back and
Yes.
forth and possibly exposing themselves to
exactly.
COVID.
Because all the airlines have to go by government regulations. So in Panama, they want you to have a negative COVID test.
Well, then how long before?
The COVID test has to have been done within 48 hours of your arrival time.
Okay.
And it can be an antigen test, which is the most common because that's pretty much the only one that you can get
Really
during that
quickly.
time.
Yeah.
The PCR swab test takes more time to
Right.
get.
And let's just point out really quick too, for those of you that are high risk and really worried about flying, the antigen test is not as accurate as doing a PCR test. You'll get more false negatives with an antigen test just because the antigens measure basically the antibodies that the virus produces. So it's best after 1 to 2 weeks after you've been infected to measure the antibodies. Acute infections, like within a few days, sometimes won't show up on an antigen test. So the most accurate is the PCR. And that's why a lot of people are arriving to, not a lot, we've had some cases of people that are positive arrive to Tucuman, have a fever, and they repeat the test. Although they've come with a negative test, they repeat the test in the airport and it comes up positive. And that might be part of the reason why, because it doesn't always show up on an antigen test right away that the person is sick. That's more to measure their recovery than
Correct.
illness.
So Panama states that if you can't get the antigen test on time, that you can board and come to Panama, but you have to take the test upon arrival at Tocumen Airport. Guys, don't do that. I mean, you absolutely can, but you're getting on a plane and you could, if you are positive, then just know you're going to have to do a quarantine for 14 days.
Okay.
So there is also, if you go to visitpanama.com, there's one other thing that you have to do, and that is you have to electronically sign a sworn affidavit stating that you understand the health, safety, and regulations here, and that if you are COVID positive when you arrive into Tocumen, that you are going to be in a 14-day quarantine and everything else. So try to get it done before you can get here, because if you're coming here for a visit, it's just going to ruin things if you're going to be stuck in a hotel room somewhere.
Right. If you come here positive, I mean, I think if they put you up in a government hotel with other COVID patients. You don't want that either.
No.
That doesn't sound like a great place to be to me. They monitor you. They do a test, I believe, after 7 days.
Correct.
If it comes up negative after 7 days, I believe they still let you go along your way. If it comes up positive still, then you have to stay in quarantine the entire 14 days. That's basically most people's vacation time.
Right.
And that's no way, because you won't be allowed out of the hotel. You won't be allowed out of your room, probably. It's just not a way to spend your vacation. So definitely do your test beforehand. Try to get the antigen test before you come. So what else do they need to know before they sign up for a flight to come to Panama?
Well, just that things are constantly changing. You know, I have people coming to me and they want to book flights to Europe. I will book your flights to Europe, but I am not being held responsible for. I mean, right now, for U.S. citizens, you cannot go to Europe. They have a ban on that.
No matter what your country of origin is.
Can it change? Correct.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can it change between now and the time that you book? Well, absolutely. It can change, and let's hope it all changes. But you just have to be able to go with the flow on that. If you really want to do it, I'll be, we're more than happy to make that. But everybody has to take responsibility for what the changes are when, because things could change the day before you leave. So here's
sometimes
something.
you get really short notice.
Exactly. So one thing, and I have never been a big pusher of travelers insurance. I really haven't been. But this is not a bad time to have travelers insurance that will cover medical for you while you're abroad. That will, if you can get canceled for any reasons. I know a lot of insurance companies have dropped cancel for any reasons, but there still are a few out there that will.
And that'll charge a penalty or something if you...
Right. Listen, if you've got canceled for any reason, I still wouldn't, and you've got to cancel your trip, I would not say you're canceling due to COVID. I would say you're canceling for personal reasons. That's what the insurance companies like to hear. So, but yes, to know that medically you're taken care of when you're out there, and also if you've got non-refundable hotel rooms, if you've got tour packages that are non-refundable, that you can get a good chunk of your money back if not.
Yeah.
I know the insurance companies are having issues just like everybody else with trying to pay back now. It's just one of those things, we just all have to be patient and keep our fingers crossed that everybody's,
And high-risk people, I personally recommend wait to travel. If it's not urgent, wait to travel for high risk. And we're talking about people that are older. We're also talking about people with chronic conditions, heart conditions, lung conditions, diabetics, that when you get here, yes, we have good hospitals here. Yes, we have excellent doctors and great medical care, but it's not like the U.S.
Yeah.
It's not like care in Europe. It's going to be a huge culture shock if you get sick here and you require medical treatment, especially if you require hospitalization. And while there are a lot of staff in the hospitals that speak some English, it's just not going to be the same.
Right.
It's not going to be the same. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from coming to Panama. Obviously, we love having tourists. We love visitors. But do think that, especially up here in the mountains, the closest hospital is about 30 to 40 minutes down the hill. Depending on how much traffic and how fast you drive.
Right.
And after a certain hour, there really is no public transportation available to get you there. I don't know how the hotels and hostels and stuff, if they have any connections with public transportation, taxis or whatever. Some hotels actually, the owners sometimes will use their personal cars and take the person to a doctor or to a hospital if they need it. But really, there's no public transportation after a certain hour.
And hotel, true. If it's late at night, it might be something. Now, I'm sure hotels have a Rolodex of taxis that they can call personally. That can get you where you need to go.
Yeah. But be aware, it's a little bit more difficult. So if you have an emergency while you're here, it can be a little bit more difficult, and more so during the pandemic.
Right.
Things have changed a lot because of the pandemic.
Right.
As I said, yes, medical care is wonderful in Panama. We have great doctors. We have good facilities. But it's not the same. You won't get an ambulance in 2 minutes if you need an ambulance. For the most part. Sometimes they come within 2 minutes. It's not unheard of. But there's few ambulances, and a lot of times the ambulances that are covering our area, at least here in Boquete, sometimes have to cover David too if the David ambulance needs backup, so to speak. So if you do have severe medical issues, you probably want to think about that when you decide how to travel, when to travel.
Right. Now, listen, I know the people who live here, you all have wanderlust just like I do. And we're all itching to get out there.
Oh, yeah.
So I get it. I'm ready to go too. Mm-hmm. But just know when you go, just be careful. We've all been dealing with this it's been a long year. So I think by this time, we pretty much have educated ourselves on how to keep ourselves safe.
Don't let yourself fall into the trap of having that COVID burnout though. Keep up your measures. Keep up the hand cleaning, the hand washing, the mask, the distancing. Don't get too comfortable. Remember that it's still out there. It's not gone just because the restrictions are lifted.
Right. And there are very few places you could go that you could feel comfortable, to go.
There's certain places that, outdoor activities, I would encourage outdoor activities, walking, hiking, that kind of thing.
Right.
You in Panama are still required to wear a mask when you're outside, even if you're hiking and biking and traveling. I'm sorry, I'm just checking messages to see if anybody's sending questions. Feel free to send questions. My WhatsApp is 6507-4299. You can send me messages to WhatsApp, or you can send messages to my my Facebook Messenger, and we'll try to get them answered if we can to either Andrea or myself. As I was saying, here in Panama, expect if you are traveling from a different country to have to wear a mask. It's the law here. You will get fined if you don't wear a mask. Another thing.
What is the fine on that? Do you know?
I don't know what the fines are. I was hearing, first it was like $50 and then it was $100. I don't know what the current fines are, and I think probably more than anything they're giving warnings.
Okay.
But
now I know if you have two people in your car that you have to wear the mask. But if you're one person and you've got your windows up, do you still you don't have to wear the mask. Come on.
They encourage mask wearing. I've heard people have gotten stopped alone in the car for not wearing a mask.
Huh.
And a lot of people say, well, I'm just with my husband, I'm with my parents, I'm with whoever in the car. We live in the same house. Why do I have to wear a mask? The authorities don't know who's in your family.
Yeah.
And they could stop you. I think it's more a fact of if you do get pulled over, you do get stopped, they want you wearing a mask when you roll down your window.
Sure.
That kind of thing. I personally have been in my car without my mask on. I try to put it on because otherwise when I get out of the car, I sometimes forget.
You forget,
yeah. My car to go get it. But I guess I'm just used to it. Being medical, we wear masks all the time, so I'm used to having a mask on, and just having one on in the car, I guess, is almost second nature to me now, especially.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, they hate it. They hate it. So I don't know if they're finding if you're alone in a car and not wearing a mask. I don't believe so. They might tell you put it on.
Yeah. If you roll down your windows when you're at a checkpoint and you don't have it on, it's an issue.
They'll definitely say something.
Right.
They'll definitely say something. Even we were coming back from Panama. I had to go to Panama to take care of some business there. On the way back, we stopped in Penonome and had to go to a fast food place. We try not to go in ourselves. We don't want to be in a small area. So we order at the drive-thru. Well, my husband pulled down his mask to order at the sign, the speaker. And after we finished completing the order and they told us to advance, they said, by the way, put on your mask. So they're really strict. I haven't seen as much enforcement here in our area as in Panama City and Penonome. When you go out or you go into a store or you go into a restaurant, they're really strict with you. Really strict. They enforce it. At a table, the tables, they really separate the tables. They separate the patrons. You have to use your mask until you receive either your food or your drink.
Okay, say that again.
At restaurants that I went to, I only went to a couple because I really don't like to go out, but I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
At the restaurants I went to, they were really strict about the placement of the patrons in the restaurant to keep them well away from each other, the different tables. You went in, you had to keep your mask on, even as you sat down at your table and ordered until you received your drinks or your food.
Okay.
You had to keep your mask on. And they were giving out little baggies to put your mask in while you ate, which I thought was a really good idea.
That's great.
Because where do you think, okay, I've got a contaminated mask in my hand, where do I put it? Do I put it on my lap?
That happened to me when I actually had to go to a dentist office. Mm-hmm. And they did the same thing. They had me put my mask in the little baggie and keep it for me. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, and I would have never thought that. I do, when I come back from work and I have a reusable mask that I use, I do disinfect it, and I do keep it in a plastic bag to keep it clean and keep it away from everything else. But yeah, I was thinking when I went, because I had even when things opened up back in June or whatever, I really never went out to eat. Every once in a while we'd pick something up once in a while, but we stayed clear from all establishments. But I've noticed here there is some complaints that some of the dining facilities aren't enforcing the regulations. I don't know if it's true because I haven't been to any here.
Yeah.
But some people did get upset about that. So people, please use your masks, use your sanitizer, even if you don't believe in it. Please do it for everybody else.
Yeah. Because things can be taken away.
Yeah.
We all know that.
The problem is if it does spread again, yeah, we could go down for another lockdown on weekends, another curfew. And seeing the spike of cases in the United States is very worrisome.
And in Europe as well.
And in Europe,
Absolutely.
Italy, England.
That is. I think we've all expected a spike to go on as soon as they opened up the border. Mm-hmm. Nobody's saying they can't take it away, though.
No, and in fact, the decree that I read said it left an option to put back some of the restrictions if cases do indeed go up. So it's not just a rumor. It's not just a maybe they'll do it. It's they will do it. They will do it. So everybody needs to be conscious of that fact and take all the precautions. Even if you specifically aren't worried about getting it, think about the rest of the community. We were under lockdown for way too long. So many businesses and people suffered. So many people went hungry. They're hurting. Everybody's hurting. And we can't afford to have to go under another curfew and weekend lockdown and that kind of thing. It's going to hurt a lot of people and a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
So we need to do what we can to stop the spread.
Right. Even if you don't agree with it, just take one for the Gipper. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So we can all get through this in somewhat of a timely manner.
Yeah, nobody is comfortable going out wearing a mask all the time. They itch, they get hot, they can dry out your mouth. But most people are just going to the store 15 minutes, getting back into the car and taking it off. It's not a huge deal just to do that, just to help control the spread. There's other people that are actually working in the stores. They're wearing them for 8 hours. The cashiers, the other workers in the different stores, they're wearing them all day long.
Right.
In the clinics, the hospitals, they're wearing them all day long. We're just asking you when you go out, please put on your mask. And most people don't spend a whole long time in the supermarket or in the stores.
Right.
So, it's inconvenient. It's uncomfortable.
Now, what is your take on the shields? Because you think about the aerosol getting into your eyes. Mm-hmm. Do you think wearing the shields with the mask is a good idea?
They can be, as long as you're not constantly touching it and rubbing your face, because remember I'm
a bad face toucher.
Everybody touches their face. You don't realize how much until you consciously think, I can't touch my face. I shouldn't be touching my face. And hair and that. Yes, they can be beneficial, but it's not to replace the mask. It doesn't replace the mask. Too much virus can get underneath the face shield, around the edges. It does not replace wearing a cloth mask.
Okay.
It does help for some people. I wear one at work all the time. You know, I don't need to, it's more for larger things like coughing and sneezing and that kind of thing. If I have to ask somebody to take off their mask so I can examine their mouth or their throat, you know, I want that extra protection there because I have to tell them, open your mouth, and I can't tell them, don't breathe. It's really hard to tell someone not to breathe. So yeah, in that respect, for the particles, yeah, it will bounce off or stick to the shield, but that's the problem. People don't disinfect. After they get out of the store, they'll take it off, they'll throw it in their car, and it won't necessarily make you sick because you need a certain amount of virus to become infected. But it can be a risk.
Right.
And from what I've read, sometimes the virus can live on surfaces up to a few days afterwards. So after being contaminated. So you do have to take care with those kind of things.
Yeah.
You know, don't be scared, but just use common sense.
Right.
Wipe it down with some alcohol, put it in a bag. Same with the mask. Wash your mask if it's a cloth mask. Dispose of the surgical masks after 4 hours of use or when it gets kind of moist from breathing through it. It's always a good idea. Those are some precautions that we recommend. You don't necessarily need to wear gloves. Wearing gloves is like using your hands. You can still touch your face. You can still touch objects and spread germs with gloves. So unless you're taking them off and throwing them in the trash between each store that you're going to or each thing that you touch, you're still contaminating the gloves. And if you touch your face, it's not really doing anything different than bare hands.
Yeah.
So you don't really see the virus getting in through the skin as much as the airways, the nose and the mouth.
Right.
So, and that brings us back to traveling. And that's when you really have to be careful because the more time you're exposed to someone that's positive with the virus, that's shedding the virus, the more likely you are to get sick. And they're showing that it's not just sitting in one area for an hour. It can be the amount of exposure you have during the entire day.
Right. You're going through airports, you're going,
It's
you're
cumulative.
passing a lot of people.
It's a cumulative effect. The more virus that you're receiving into your body, the more likely it is it's going to make you sick. I mean, it's going to replicate enough to make you sick. So, you know, the longer that you're exposed, the longer you're traveling, the longer you're exposed in enclosed areas, there is more risk.
Yeah.
And masks aren't going to stop all infections. They did a study recently in a small city in the States where some of the districts recommend or had a mask mandate and some of the districts did not. And they did find that in the districts where they did apply the mask mandate, they had a reduction of about 50% of the contagion rate. For example, if they had 12 people getting ill a day, it brought it down to about 6 a day. And so we do know that the masks are an effective tool, and so is distancing.
Yeah.
And both together is much better than just one or the other.
Right.
So my next question is, so what kind of things are open in the area, in Panama, in this province, for tourists that do come in? We do have hotels open, not all of them.
Not all of them yet.
Not all of them yet. Not that they can't open. They just haven't.
Okay. Do they all have to go through Mensa things before they can open? So they've got to get their approval to open first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They do have to have their medical team that they have to make sure that all the guidelines are being followed.
Yeah.
As far as taking temperatures, hand sanitizing, requiring masks, obviously making sure that your employees aren't sick.
Right.
Those
So
kind of things.
I think just about everything is open within reason. within the capacity that they can open.
Yeah, those that can open have opened. Those that can't yet because of financial or other obligations have not.
Exactly. So I think if it's mainly bars, discotheques, large events, gatherings. Are churches open now? I don't think churches
I don't
have.
think, I know they were talking about opening them, but I don't believe they are right now. Most people are, I can't remember if the doors to the churches are open and people can go in a certain amount or not. I don't really recall, but I do think that churches are restricted. Schools aren't open yet.
I understand they're not even going to be open next March either.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see.
I think they were talking about homeschooling for the next year. So beaches have just been opened again as well. So other than large group followings, going to church right now, going to discotheques and going dancing, I think we're about there.
Yeah, and I know that.
Are we running out of time? Because I do have one thing.
No.
In
I'm
particular.
sorry. I'm just receiving some questions here. That's
Okay.
all. We've got about a little bit over 15 minutes left.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I want to say something that, and as an educational point.
Okay.
So when you buy an airline ticket and you bought a non-refundable airline ticket, so let's say you were traveling this spring and your flights were canceled. And you had a non-refundable ticket. At that time, all the airlines were saying, we're not refunding your ticket. Because for the most part, if an airline cancels your ticket, they've got to give you a refund or put you on
Another flight, another day.
Exactly. So, but when this whole thing went down, all the airlines claimed force majeure, which means these are unforeseen circumstances and we're not refunding you. We're just giving you credit for later. You know, it was one of those times I'm sitting in my office going, oh,
I'm in trouble.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously. It was awful. So I think it was in June. I know the US DOT came out and said, no. US carriers, you've got a refund. And then very slowly the other ones started. All the other ones like Iberia, Air France, and and I mean, they're all coming around, folks. So they are taking very long to now. To I mean, they're still taking 90+ days on refunds. So things like that, but they are doing them. So if you were told, even by me, that you could not get a refund on your non-refundable ticket and I issued your ticket, call me back, because if they canceled your flights, we can get a refund on those now. I know I was trying to go through as many people as I could and haven't seen it. So let's say this is normal time though, and I've seen this, I've gotten this question a lot. So we're back in normal times and you buy a non-refundable ticket. And you can't go. You cancel that ticket before your flight goes. If you do not cancel it, then you have no value left on that ticket. You are considered a no-show, and that's it. If you cancel your ticket prior to your departing flight, then you have 1 year from the date the ticket was issued to use the value of that ticket onto another flights with the same airline, minus any penalty fee plus the difference in the fare. So whatever the penalty fee was at the time that you issued it, if it was during the whole COVID thing, there is no penalty fee to change it. And a lot of the airlines have given you longer than that 1 year. So please don't sit there and think, my flights were canceled and I've got a non-refundable ticket. I can't believe they cut your money. So you can go back now. You can either get that refund or you can use that towards future travel. And it's not that you have 1 year from the date the ticket was issued to travel. You have 1 year to have that ticket reissued, and it can be for 330 days after that date.
Okay.
So the new ticket just has to be reissued within that 1 year, but it can be for future travel.
Right. We had planned a trip to the States in mid to late March. And we were getting worried when we started seeing everything shutting down and the virus spreading throughout the States. And so we went to the airlines, and there was a lot of people that went to the airlines, and we were flying with Copa to talk to them and see, look, we know that things are iffy, and we're going to, put our travel plans on hold. We're going to cancel our trip for now. They said we could do that. They said that they wouldn't charge a penalty, and that we would have to make a reservation no later than, I guess, the end of the year that we were supposed to have, like December 31st. I think we had to plan our trip, and it could not be any later than a year after the planned travel date. And I think they've extended that now. Now you don't have to make your reservation in December anymore. I think they're giving us till December of next year.
Every single airline has different policies on that. So depending on whoever the airline was, they have, it depends on if they've extended the flexibility even longer. So, but right now, I think through the end of December 31st, I know everybody's been calling me saying, oh, well, I understand United has done away with the $200 penalty fee for any changes. They have eliminated it.
Only up to a certain date.
They have, but that's only for U.S. domestic tickets.
Right.
Now they have gone away with the penalty fee for any tickets that are purchased through the end of this year. So it's changeable without penalty, but if there's a difference in the fare, you'd have to pay that, unless, of course, they've canceled your flight and you're taking the same routing, and then they can put you on the same thing, no penalty, no fare difference.
Yeah. From what I understood from Copa, that's what they told us originally, that as long as we made our travel plans by the 31st and made it within the year, for the vacation within the year, they would not charge the penalty, nor would they charge a difference in fare.
Right.
And as far as
if you're doing the same route,
if you're doing the same flight, yeah. As far as I know, they've extended that, but there's a lot of unknowns about the emails that they've sent out. If you were traveling between this date and this date, then this applies. But if your reservation was between this date and this date, and you made it after a certain date, then this applies. So I guess the best thing to do would be to talk to your travel agent or talk to the airline directly to find out what kind of things you're eligible for.
Right.
Which we plan on doing before the end of the year, because we have to nail down exactly how they're working our particular tickets and our particular trip. If they're going to honor it all the way until the end of next year, or what they're going to do.
Right.
Because a lot of people, like, I work, so I have trouble saying, well, I can fly this date, so I'm going to go ahead and make my reservation. If I make a reservation now and it turns out I have to work, if I do have to reprogram my travel date, then they're going to charge me a fee.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It is. It is. The thing of it is, everybody needs to keep in mind what your D-Day is on the extension of whatever ticket with whatever carrier you're on. Because if you don't use it by that date, the value of your ticket goes poof.
Yes.
So keep in mind, put it on your calendar, and don't let that go by, because nobody wants to lose their money.
Another question. Do you know, are they giving coffee farm tours at the moment?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Yes, they are giving
They're
coffee
open
farm
for
tours.
the
They're
tours?
they're back. I think they're keeping it small.
Okay.
But from my understanding, I know Dos Jefes is doing it. I believe Cafe Ruiz is. I think they're just keeping it small.
I believe the fishing groups are open, available for chartered fishing.
Yes, it is. I know. I believe.
Real in
Hooked on
Panama.
Panama is going to be
Hooked on
opening
Panama.
up. soon. Very soon, if they not have somebody right now, but they'll be opening up soon. And but I haven't heard about the others in like Boca Chica or anything like that.
Okay. I also, like we're talking, all hotels are allowed to be open. That they have to have a reduced capacity, obviously. Is Tree Trek? I know the hotel part is open for Tree Trek. Do you know if the zip lining is open?
I don't know. I have not heard about that.
I haven't either. I only heard that the Tree Trek Hotel was supposed to be open and the restaurant was open.
Right.
Obviously, the beaches are open. So I got a question about what kind of things are available if someone were to travel to visit either family in Panama or just to come visit. And, well, restaurants are open for dining in.
I think that the normal tour guides here would love to get some people to go and do some birding or take you up on top of the mountain. Probably not in the next 30 days, but if you want to go, if you want to go up to Baru.
Right, not during rainy season. I wouldn't recommend it during rainy season.
You don't want to do.
Probably not a good idea. Yeah.
No, but January is a great time to do that.
I know the Lost Waterfalls was open.
Lost Waterfalls is back open.
What other trails are open? Are
I think most of the trails
national parks
are
are
open now.
Yeah.
I don't normally hike the trails where you need to pay, but no, I believe they're all back up in order now.
And people can now go to the rivers also. I know there's a popular place in Caldera that people like to go.
Yeah.
That's open. Of course, they're restricting to small groups of people within the same family usually.
Right. I even think the hot springs in Caldera is open. So, yeah.
The beaches, like you mentioned earlier, those are open. Right now, they didn't open the gyms yet. They're evaluating to open up gymnasiums to lift weights and do exercise and, other aerobic type things inside of gyms, but it hasn't been open yet. Swimming pools are open.
What is?
Swimming pools. To go swimming, you can go to a swimming pool.
So that would be La Estancias open.
I don't know if they're open. Are they open?
I don't know if they've only been open they would be open during this time normally on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I haven't heard anything going on over there.
No, I think we're going to have to invite Mark Vargas over to see what else is open. He's a good source of information.
I don't think the pool at the Haven is open.
I don't think the Haven is open.
Well, they are open.
Did they
now.
Open up? Okay.
As of a day or two ago. I read something online about that. But the only other pool I know would be at Valle Escondido.
Okay. Valle Escondido, and I don't know if they're open either. Obviously, it's more for the residents there as well as paid guests. I guess you can pay to use the
they've
pool
got the hotel there, so.
Yeah, so they're probably opened up the motel, so they probably opened up the pool too, I would assume. Of course, their pool is different because it's indoors.
Listen, I know the all-inclusives in Mexico are open, but I also know that the discotheques and the night events and the shows, that's not happening.
No, not here. Mexico is a little bit different, and they're seeing a big spike in cases too.
I know.
You have to make decisions while you're here of what you think you can do safely. Eating out. Obviously, hiking is a great thing to do. Exercise.
It's good. It's healthy. It's an easy way to social distance and to see the beauty around.
Right. Clubs aren't open. Bars aren't open. But restaurants are open, and their bars are open, but not to sit at the bar, but have a drink at your table.
I think I would make reservations, though. If you want to go to a restaurant, make reservations to go so that they can control their capacity and get you in.
Right. And I think a lot of them are requiring reservations, or they're recommending. Let's not say requiring. They're recommending. And I know Boulder 54 is planning on opening soon.
They're not open yet.
I thought I saw that Chris Young posted on there that they were planning on opening it soon.
Okay.
Big Daddy's is open. It's been
no Tap Out's open.
Tap Out opened recently also. Tap Out is great because it's got a lot of outdoor seating.
Right. Are the grocery stores going to stay? See, listen, when it comes to grocery stores, like in Super Baru and Romero's, I love it because they open at 6:30 in the morning. And that's when I go.
Well, Baru used to be.
I hope they keep those hours because I love going in
Early
and
in the
not
morning.
having people around me and be able to get in and get out. It's
It's
super
nice
easy.
to go really early in the morning. Down in David too, when they start opening the Price Smart really early in the morning.
I know.
I don't know how long
They're
that's gonna
still
last.
doing that too at
I
Price
think
Mart, which
they
is
kind of
wonderful.
are because they have to limit the number of people inside.
Yeah.
And up here in Boquete especially, they have to limit the number of people because the stores are so so small.
So we're going to have apparently a lot of people in town here this starting
this
this
holiday
weekend, right?
For the Independence Day from Columbia. Fabulous
Okay.
Independence from Columbia. And I'm getting a couple messages here that Boulder 54 opens next Friday.
Okay, good.
And also that, and I don't know, I can't confirm this, parts of Mexico have announced hardcore shutdowns and quarantines.
Uh-huh.
I can't confirm or deny. I haven't seen the news yet. So yeah, well, those are the two little information tidbits that I got just now from somebody that's listening in.
They're so
Thank you
good.
for listening
Thank you so
in.
much.
Thank you for the information. But yeah, so risk factors, take your time in traveling. You know, definitely support our local businesses and everything, but if you're high risk, then be very careful.
Yeah.
Be aware of your surroundings. Go to places where you can have outdoor seating. You know, I encourage everybody when they're in line, when they're in a restaurant, wear your mask. Wear your mask until they bring you your food. Don't stay around socializing too long in the restaurant. Eat your food, socialize a little bit, but you know, don't stay too long in one spot.
And it's just not a Panama thing. This is a worldwide thing.
Roger has something to say.
Hello,
Good morning,
doctor,
Roger.
and welcome to Radio Chiriquí.
Thank you.
Very important tips that you're giving. One thing that you have to remember that November the 3rd and the 4th, a lot of places are going to be closed.
Right.
I went to Gago, and Gago is going to be closed. Casa del Jamón and other places. Of course, most of the restaurants will be open. I just wanted to take the opportunity to announce officially that Radio Chiriquí, like 39 years before, we have started already a campaign to collect money and toys for the poor children at the comarca. You know. At the,
Okay.
For the
Very
Indian.
important. The comarca is suffering.
So if anybody is interested in you know sharing and giving, please contact us here at Radio Chiriquí, or you can talk to Al Stefanelli, Cynthia Slade,
Myself.
Dr. Shannon, and you know if you want to be. You know, if you want to, don't say your name, that's okay. You know, a lot of people have done that, but
And what kind of things do you need? Canned food, baby milk, diapers?
anything, because something that is not going to damage. You know,
Something that won't spoil.
won't spoil, and clothes
Clothes
for children.
For children.
Oh, they go crazy for the clothes. You know, so anything you have at the house you want to give away. You know, because for us at Radio Chiriquí, Christmas is a time to share.
Are you accepting cash
We have a
donations
call
as well?
from-
Or checks?
Yes.
Or
Yes, our people from the Pizzeria Brasilerísimo are on the phone, and
Very good people.
Marisette she wants to announce something, and
Okay.
they'll be open for the whole week. Marisette,
Hola, hola, good morning.
Good morning,
my
Marcia.
friend. Good morning. Good morning, my friend. Today is an excellent day to eat pizza, pastas, meat, fish, and pizzeria in restaurant Brasileirissimo. We are on location in the Meat Street in front of Big Daddy, near the park. I invite you and visit your place. We can come with your family for eat in Pizzeria Brasileirissimo restaurant. You can also ask for WhatsApp delivery on the phone 6546 5663. 6546-5663. We are open every day, 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. And the tools for light cameras, we have delicious dishes prepared with shrimp
Muchas
and
gracias,
fish.
Maricel. Muchas gracias.
Sí.
Recuerden, para sus comidas en casa se puede pedir, se puede ir al restaurante localizado a frente de Big Daddy's o por entrega a domicilio. We have to go for today. That's all the time we have. This has been Talking with Your Doctor. I'm here with Andrea Cook. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody have a wonderful weekend.